Designing experiments. This science and cooking example is about modifying a Turkish recipe called Mucver. Mucver could be defined as zucchini patties. In the original recipe, a mix of ingredients including grated zucchini is fried in oil. Our goals for the experiment today is to modify the traditional recipe to make it healthier and gluten-free. So as I mentioned, it's a Turkish dish. Main ingredient is zucchini. And zucchini, the one we use in Turkish cuisine, is shown here. It's also used in Mexican dishes. There are a variety of recipes available online. I included one here. If you can eat fried dishes and wheat flour, simply follow the recipe. It's a delicious one. Otherwise, you need to experiment with it. We start by asking questions. 4 of them are listed. Question 1. Is there a better way to provide this recipe with precise measures to minimize variability? Question 2. What kind of changes do we need to make in the recipe if we were to bake it rather than frying it? Question 3. The original recipe calls for wheat flour. When should the wheat flour be added to the batter in order to increase the fluffiness of the baked version? And question 4, is there a gluten-free replacement for wheat flour? Baked version. I tried to answer the first 2 questions over the past 3 months as I learned science behind cooking in this class. By making changes to the recipe, measuring the ingredients carefully, and documenting the steps with photographs, I believe I was able to come up with a recipe and documented methods that could be repeated easily, which would result with the same quality of food no matter where and by whom it's prepared. Let me share some of my experiments with you. Here are the basic ingredients of the improved recipe. One of the main variables in this recipe that causes variation in the baked dish is zucchini. I created osmosis by adding salt to zucchini, to grated zucchini, and then by pressing out the excess liquid, I was able to reduce the water content of zucchini, which resulted with less variability in the recipe, especially in the baked version. The recipe of the baked version is given next, and as you will notice, I try to incorporate more precise quantities. For instance, 2 cups of zucchini that's coarsely grated, excess water has been pressed following a 20-minute osmosis in a salty environment. And it doesn't taste really a lot better than the original recipe, but it's healthier and you have access to the revised version of the recipe. I hope you would try it, and I hope you would enjoy it. Next several pictures now is gonna show you how I address remaining 2 questions, mainly questions 3 and 4. Does it matter which order we incorporate flour into the mix? And the last one, is it possible to replace wheat flour with other types of flour? For instance, if we can use garbanzo flour instead of wheat, wouldn't that be great? Or oat flour, or corn flour, or even rice flour. I didn't try the last one. So designing the experiment was the hardest part of this homework, if you ask me. I went and prepared 6 different sets of experiments. One side of my kitchen was devoted to this experiment, as you see, and I played around. I changed the flour type used, but keeping everything else the same. That's something that we need to keep in mind as you design experiments. We try to change only one variable, and in this case, what I'm showing here, I changed the flour type that was used. You will see next now in the oven, 6 of them are being baked. And when it comes to comparing those 2 that you see in the very front, they are wheat based recipes, and based on my first experience, it really didn't matter which order flour is added to the batter. And when it comes to the 4th question, Is there a gluten-free version? Yes, there is. You can prepare them using different types of flour, but I saw a need for further research. For instance, perhaps I need to adjust the baking time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the professors, chefs, TAs, classmates especially, who contributed to my learning. Thank you.